Hey Cameron, what's up?
Not a lot, man. Playing some Legacy, I think.
It's our legacy versus video for the month, and you are playing what?
Jeskai Stoneblade, tried and true Cameron staple. Yeah, so I love this deck. It's something I play in paper all the time. Have moderate success with, and a lot of fun playing with it.
Whilst I am playing budget, death, and taxes. So we feel like this is a good deck to get started with on Magic Online. You said you paid how much for it?
Oh, it was like $65, 65 ticks, somewhere around there.
Yeah,
Pretty cheap.
yeah, pretty cheap. Now, death and taxes can be a super expensive deck. If you get the ports and the wasteland. So this is the budget version of this, but it's a great way to get acquainted with Legacy, and we really like the deck, and it's certainly capable of winning its fair share of matches in the meta. So I'm on the play. I'm going to keep this hand. I've got turn 1 Mom into turn 2 Thalia. That's what we want. So here we go.
Yeah, and I'm gonna keep this hand. I have a bolt, swords, land, and a ponder. I mean, there's not a lot of pressure, but with this deck, sometimes you don't want that right off the bat. So we'll keep.
All right. And the aforementioned turn 1 Mom.
So currently that is a problem for us. So I think on, depending on what we draw here. Yeah, I think what we'll do is play Volcanic Island, and then we'll just bolt that.
Yeah, that's definitely a problematic card for you, and one that's worth dealing with immediately, right?
Yeah. I mean, once she is protected, other than like a verdict or something like that, or a JIT, I guess, there's not a whole lot of ways to interact with her.
Now we're going to play Thalia, and kind of do our curve.
Once again, I mean, we do have interaction for that. This potentially could be a problem on the next turn. So I think what we do is we play a plains, and we just try to swords it on our turn here. We'll pass the turn.
So now we're starting to get a little pressure light, which is not ideal. So Mangara is an interesting card. Where it's like a summoning sick stone rain in this particular instance.
Yeah. And once again, I think depending on what we draw here, yeah, brainstorm. I think we just play our next planes here. I mean, this is kind of weird. Sometimes you don't play two planes, and that's kind of actually a tell for us, for Curtis to know.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what we do off the bat, and maybe I misplayed that. I should have waited on the planes. We'll play Ponder. Snapcaster, Polluted Delta. I like having Snap up, so I think we just put these down like that. I like having two Snapcasters. No. We'll draw that, and then we'll just play Swords right now.
Gross. So he's basically answered every single creature we've had, which is super problematic. We have a Ghost Quarter. And we know he didn't shuffle from his Ponder. So we are going to go ahead and Ghost Quarter this Volcanic. And if nothing else, he's got to shuffle it. Now, obviously, in non-budget, this is a Wasteland, and this is a much better play. But, again, we don't know to what extent he has basics in his deck. And this forces him to choose quite a bit.
Yeah, and we're just going to go with an island right now. That way I can cast a Snapcaster and, Sarah and Vengeance. Let's see. So I think maybe we'll let that resolve. On end of turn here, we're going to brainstorm.
You love your end-of-turn brainstorms, don't you, Cameron?
I like to know what I have coming up here. And this is actually really, really sweet. I think we put back let's see. We can't play a true name yet because of the one blue source, which is really kind of awkward. So I think what we do is we put back Mishra's Factory and a counter spell. And now, what do we do? Maybe the best play is to wait one more turn, and then we'll snap in and swords the Sarah Avenger on his attack step.
Kind of one of the weaknesses of playing Death and Taxes is you really don't have to have any fear of what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You're free to kind of manipulate your removal and sequencing as much as you want because you don't have to really dodge much, especially when there's no permanence in play and no vial in play.
Okay, so he's attacking with that, of course. We'll flash in Snap. We'll cast those swords.
Okay, so obviously we're going to play a Stoneforge.
Yeah, not a lot we can do with that.
And my inclination is to get Batterskull here. I'm not super worried about the Stoneforge Mystic. And we actually need some real pressure, like soon. Because long game certainly favors him. We have to be the beatdown, and we're just simply not doing it right now.
Okay, so we have the factory. Now the question is, I mean, I could cast Ponder right now, but we still wouldn't be able to do anything with the true name. But I do like the idea of equipping the Jit to a Snapcaster and at least having some pressure that way, and then maybe on the next turn we'll see what we have and we can ponder. So I think we'll cast the Jit and equip and attack. I like this because, I mean, you know, whatever he brings in, a lot of his creatures are, you know, have a toughness of 1, so that's pretty good for us.
So we're going to let him attack. And then
obviously this is soft to swords, which I feel like is going to come, yeah.
Obviously we just got to, once a Jit is active, that's problematic. And it's good that we got Batterskull. It's one of our best cards against it. But still, we're in a bit of trouble here. Any kind of pressure that he applies, we die pretty quickly too.
That's not horrible. So let's go ahead and just first cast a Ponder here. Whoops. Still on my draw step, sorry. There we go.
The dangers of playing with click in your deck, right? You always have to have stop at draws.
So I really like having the Stoneforge, and I really want that Polluted Delta as well, so we can get double blue. This is all good. It's just deciding on what do we want when. I think I want the Polluted Delta first. Whoops. So, and then I think what we do, now he's going to flash in, so we aren't going to do that. So we'll go to our second main, cast the Polluted Delta, and say go.
Obviously we're going to Violent Batterskull. Hope he doesn't have some kind of answer to that. And attack with Batterskull. This is a grindy matchup, and that makes me pretty uncomfortable with where we're headed.
Okay, so we can't really allow that Batter Skull to continue to do what it's doing, especially with the current hand that we have. I think the best play is to, now that we have a Stoneforge, maybe do this. Oof, oof, oof. Yeah, as much as I don't want to do this, I feel like we have to counter that.
Yeah, I think you have to as well. And you pitched a counter spell.
So we have a white source. We don't have a red source. I think, yeah, we go with the volcanic here. And then we're going to play the true name.
Oh, no. That's bad.
And then we'll equip Jit to that. And whenever he attacks with Batter Skull, we're totally fine with that.
So True Name is absolutely the worst card possible for us to see. I honestly don't think game one we have a way of beating it besides being just so far ahead that he can't do anything about it. We are pretty far ahead. 14 life points is nothing to sneeze at, but we need more creatures. And that is not a creature. So now he attacks in. He can probably just gain life to begin with. I mean, he breaks even. He can do a lot of interesting things here. So go ahead, Cameron.
Yeah, so what I think I'm going to do is we're going to just... Nope. Yeah. We're going to cast Jace. And just because he has that 30 life, there might be some answers. I mean, I could try to dig and try to find an answer for Batter Skull, which is in the form of Council's Judgment. He could just flash in the Snapcast or the Stoneforge if I were to bounce the Batter Skull Germ token. I think I'm just going to add pressure, and this is probably the weaker play, and I am a weaker player, but we're just going to start
Cameron,
looking at the top of the deck.
It upsets me when you say mean things about yourself. I prefer to be the one to say mean things, right? I think
Yeah.
it's reasonable to, especially when I'm at no counters on the vial, and 3 mana. It's not crazy to bounce the Germ token and just get in there. Either way seems totally fine. Obviously, your Jace is a little bit more at risk. I think now when you attack, you pretty much have to shoot the Stoneforge, right? So,
yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, and maybe this is the other question: is do I even hold back right now with the true name, and just try to protect Jace? Where if you're attacking with Batter Skull,
I definitely cannot get through that way. So yeah, that's fine. More of a defensive posture.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. I'm not. Obviously, we don't have to worry about like a Pyro Blast or anything like that from his deck. And if he swings in, I mean, we have at least some pressure here with the Jit, where we can start adding some counters to that.
Okay, I think I'll play for about one more turn, but I'm essentially dead. Being at 30 life seems great and everything, but I have no real main deck answers to True Name, and I mean, he could basically kill me either way, and it's totally fine. I'm not going to move Batter Skull around. I'm going to leave mana up as much as possible in case he misplays, and then I can bounce and flash back in my Batter Skull, but still it's all pretty terrible at this stage.
So I'm almost tempted to, let's see, equip the Jit to a Mishra's Factory, attack with that, and then re-equip. Nah, that's probably just being too cute. Let's go ahead and... Yeah, we're going to keep that on top because right now I know he has one card in hand. There's not a whole lot. Oh, whoops, and that was a misclick on my part. I just There you go. So who knows what will happen now? But let's see. I think maybe just flashing in or not flashing, but bringing in Stoneforge, grabbing a Batterskull. We could actually equip the Batterskull to a True Name Nemesis and start attacking that way as well.
So I'm super dead. As soon as I see Batterskull revealed, it's like, ugh. Holding a Swords to Plowshares in my hand at the moment does essentially nothing. I'm still going to Swords your Stoneforge because no other real good targets present themselves and delays you by a turn-ish. We're going to go ahead and up our Vial. What do we draw? Up Plains. Okay, so game 2.
Yep.
All right, so we have some sideboarding to do. Ratchet Bomb, Academy Ruins, because we think he might bring in some form of disenchant. I'm going to go ahead and play Council's Judgment. I like the Wingmare against him, and Holy Light is one of our few answers to True Name. So I'm going to bring in all that and start taking some things out. What are you going to be bringing in, Cameron?
Yeah, I do like having Wear Tear. It gets rid of a number of his threats. Pithing Needle, I think, is really good. And then I think I just bring in Pyroclasm and Supreme Verdict just to have some board wipers. We'll get rid of a Force of Will, maybe 2 Ponders, which I'm not totally in love with. And then the question is, do I get rid of Jace or not? Or maybe just counter spells. I feel like those are a little slow against him as well.
Yeah, I think that's pretty close to what you need to be doing. Shaving at least some number of counter spells because I'm playing Vial.
So yeah, I think we're gonna keep this. I'm liking the way this looks.
All right, I'm going to keep my hand. Turn 1 Vial is always what we want to do. So, yeah, let's do it.
This is a totally sweet hand. We have a Pithing Needle, Supreme Verdict, and some and added pressure with Jace, so we'll keep it.
Hey, Cameron.
Yeah.
I think this matchup is bad.
Yeah, I think, if you had the Rishadan ports, like, I think you could add, and the Wastelands, of course. Those are like 2 essential components to this deck, right?
Mm-hmm.
To keep them off of multicolored mana and to just keep them off of mana in general.
Yeah, and I think also it might struggle more against fair decks, but things like Storm. I mean, when you're playing Thalias and the Wingmare and that kind of thing, like, the budget version excels against some of these other decks that you're going to see, and you can tune it in a way that's appropriate for the metagame.
So we're going to just shut down his Aether Vial, if I can spell it. Aether Vial, good.
Woo.
And we'll pass the turn.
So that's terrible for us, especially since I have another Aether Vial in my hand. I'm still likely going to play this other one, just in case I have a way to remove the Pithing Needle, but it's not very exciting.
Yeah, I think I'm okay with that Plains. I think right now, though, what we do is maybe just play the island. I mean, we have answers to almost every threat. I mean, on whatever creatures he's got, that's great. I don't really want to cast the Force of Will having to pitch Jace, because right now Jace is our only form of pressure, so we're going to keep it like this. I think I'm totally okay with that. We have more enough mana, and then we can, exile the Thalia with the swords.
I love how carefree you are. You're like, yeah, maybe a Thalia. Maybe we'll get rid of it. I don't know, man. We'll see how I feel.
Yeah. Let's see.
Okay. So this will probably be the last time that we should always yield to these. We want 1 on 3, 1 on 2. That seems pretty solid. And once again, I think I'm just going to run out Thalia here. Try to put some kind of pressure on his mana.
And that actually really does slow us down because now we have to wait one more turn to activate a Jace. We'll see what we get here. Yeah, it's not really what we wanted to see. So we're going to do that, and then probably on the next end step, we'll just have to see what happens.
So more vials on the stack. We're going to hit no to all these. And again, this is all in just hopes that we hit some kind of way of dealing with his Pithing Needle. Yay, we're winning.
That's not horrible. I think the proper play is to Supreme Verdict this and then, force whatever he has, and then we'll be ready for Jace. So I think that's the... I'd love to get more value out of this, but as it's looking right now, I think this is the best play.
I wonder how much longer our videos are taking because of the new mana casting cost.
Yeah. This is the end step. I'm not going to allow this.
Ideally, we want the Mind Sensor to interfere with his mana, but it's straight up just not going to happen. Okay. Yes, let's use that ability. Let's go get ourselves a Batterskull. I think it's just more resilient. He hasn't played any creatures besides potentially the factory, and I would rather just have some form of pressure, even though Jid is clearly much better against True Name with flyers in your deck.
We're seeing just a ton of land. So I think right now we just bring in Jace. And he has 4 cards. So, I mean, he's going to have a lot of answers, and he could start swinging with that any time with even like a Stoneforge or anything else. Maybe the proper play is to return the Stoneforge. He won't be able to... Yeah, I think we do that. And... I mean, as much as I don't want to do this, we need to add a little bit of pressure. So let's go ahead and thin our deck a little bit. Find a Tundra. Activate Mishra's Factory. And he possibly has a Swords. I'm totally fine with this, I think.
Yeah, we're absolutely going to Swords it. No other real good targets have presented themselves. I want to be efficient with my mana. And this is all no. It's like so obnoxious to have to worry about these Aether Vials when I can't do anything about your...
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, that's not bad. First thing we're going to do is play Stoneforge. I'm not in love with the bounce Stoneforge plan.
Yeah, that was probably a misclick just because now you're able to get a JIT and you have 2 additional threats rather than 1. So that was a total misplay on my part.
Now I have a mom. Let's see what he has.
Oh my gosh, another land. So like we have to just brainstorm right now because this is like really, really bad.
There's all kinds of live draws you have, right? You have Swords to Plowshares, Snapcaster for Supreme Verdict.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on here.
Yeah, there is. In fact, that's really quite good. I love having this wear tear just for added insurance. So I think what we do is that play a plains. And yeah, I mean, he has 4 threats on the board still. So I think what we do is we just snap in Supreme Verdict.
Yeah, this is the nice way of saying problematic, right? Essentially, I just feel like I'm constantly a turn behind the answers that you're presenting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Gross.
Okay, so now we're pretty good. So if he were to kill our Pithing Needle, we have, some sort of answer to that as well.
Okay, well, that's not awful. So let's first start off with Sarah Avenger, and then we'll play a Jed here. This is one of those instances, by the way, where the Ghost Quarter has never mattered if it was Wasteland or Port or anything. You've just been so far ahead on mana and tempo that there's not been much I can do.
Let's see. I think we brainstorm again.
Always a solid choice.
Just because we're drawing so much mana right now, it's not even funny. That's actually kind of hilarious. So let's put this and this back. Now we have a polluted delta, which is great. We're going to reset our library. We'll get a volcanic island. I'm getting the dual lands just because he does have a Gorse Quarter, and I want to make sure that I keep those other basics just in case he were to do something with that. And I think what we do... 4 and 5. Cast Batterskull.
So this is interesting. I'll definitely, I shouldn't say definitely, presuming he doesn't have an answer, I will get a nice attack in on Jace. But I'm still pressure light, and the Batterskull causes a huge problem for me in terms of me being able to pressure his life total in any meaningful way. The Jace has generated just a lot of advantage. Is this a wear tear?
I don't even want to. Yeah, wear and tear on the JIT. I don't want any additional value coming out of that.
So good news is he's tapped out, and he's got no cards in hand. So I'm going to draw a Mishra's Factory. Okay. So step 1 is to attack Jace, obviously. And then while things are quiet here, I'm going to go ahead and play Batterskull. And if he wants to trade Batterskulls, obviously that's fine. But if nothing happens, then we can equip up Sarah Avenger, and then we're ahead on tempo to some extent. That's very much all in on the Avenger, but there's not much else we can do.
I cannot believe I have another land. I mean, maybe I should have held on to that and not played it, but like right now I'm just so frustrated and mana hosed. It's not even funny.
I think it's hilarious.
Yeah. Do I trade with the Batterskull? Because no matter what, he's going to be able to equip the Batterskull the next turn. So I think just to get some added life, we just trade with it right now.
Okay.
And I guess we just recast Batterskull.
Yeah. You know I'm tapped out and I can't do anything with my vials, so that seems good. And hey, you might want to fetch and thin out your deck so you're not drawing all the lands.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, this is actually a much more interesting game than I was expecting.
Yeah, after you verdict me, I thought I was toast.
Okay, tapped out, no cards, so we'll just go ahead and pass turn.
And the Pithing Needle continues to be a super fun time.
It's not what we want to see.
Okay, so we just need him to draw really empty for a while. Oh
my gosh.
Is it another land?
It's another land, yeah.
Yes, flooded.
So I think just so that we have the idea that we have some sort of pressure, we're gonna we're gonna go ahead and
I think you still attack, right?
yeah, I think we do. I mean, I can just at least do the exact same thing I do. I'm not going to play this Caracas right now because I want to act like I have at least something where maybe it's a lightning bolt where I could get rid of this after I swing in.
This very much keeps you alive for an extra turn, so it's definitely worth doing.
Yeah.
And
So
there's a lot of scenarios where you can concoct that I shouldn't block there, because then that makes lightning bolt live against it. But I feel like I still have to no matter what. And you're not actually acting like you have a lightning bolt, right? So
it's true, yeah. And this new Magic Online thing is driving me nuts with colorless mana.
I can tell you haven't played with it. I've gotten a little bit more used to it because I've been drafting so much, but yeah, it's problematic.
We're just going to pass the turn acting like we have something. I guess we couldn't really do anything with that Caracas anyway right now.
Hey, I've got a Caracas.
So I feel like there's 5 lands left in my deck. So the chances of me drawing another land hopefully are slim. But
and the verdict is?
Oh, that's not horrible. It's not great either. Oh, wait. Sorry, I'm doing the exact same thing I did before on my draw step. I should just turn that off.
Okay, well, that's bad.
So, I feel... Whoops. That was a total misclick. I actually accidentally hit F2. So now we can't do a brainstorm on Jace to see what we have, if we want to attack with it or not. I think the proper play right now is to maybe, let's see, swing with the Batterskull.
Mm-hmm. I think this is actually probably the proper sequencing. I know you kind of stumbled upon it because now I have to think about. I mean, I would have attacked and then played the Jace, but now I have to think about okay, if you brainstorm into a lightning bolt, what that does. And I'm at 47 life, so this creature is more valuable to me than potentially losing it. And 3 damage is pretty meaningless to me at this stage.
Okay, so now we are going to brainstorm. Ooh, and this has just gotten incredibly good for us. So I think the proper thing is to bring that and that in. And now I think what we do
What is happening? Okay, so we're going to return Batterskull to our hand. Well, that's on the stack. And then I think our Sarah Angel is... Or Sarah Avenger is probably no longer for this world.
Okay, so this gives us another turn now, which is awesome. Sure.
Stops you from searching for things. Ha. Okay. So, while this deck does have a ton of problems, it is worth pointing out that it's got some decent game against, a deck that's actually quite a bit more expensive. Like, it is doing what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, against all the fair decks, it's still going to, do exactly what Death and Taxes always does, so...
Let's attack Jace. Then we will obviously play our own Batterskull. See, now
Okay,
we're...
so...
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, well, I think what we do is just we play the Caracas here. And now we have this card, and I'm totally okay with just Jace storming again. This is really, really, really good. So let's put this back and this back in that order. And now what we do is we're going to destroy the Batterskull since he's tapped out.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go ahead and attack.
So even though the life totals are different, now you're very much in the driver's seat because I don't have great pressure. My vials aren't online. And you have all this advantage with Jace and other things.
Okay, so on his draw step, we're going to flash in Vendilion Click.
This actually takes away my ability to kill Jace because now he's presented 2 blockers. So if I fire up Factory and Mind Sensor, I can't get through, which I'm pretty sure spells game for us because then he'll be able to brainstorm. I think he'll protect the Jace probably over anything.
Yeah, we're gonna. I think we get rid of the Flicker Wisp.
Mm-hmm. That is terrible.
And now we can block with Vendilion Click and then, bounce it back with Crocus and do the same thing the next turn.
Yeah, I'm actually in a pretty terrible loop here So what I'm going to do is not attack because everything trades or doesn't provide any damage. And now, we've got to make some kind of silly decisions with Ratchet Bomb. Assuming it resolves, and it will. But it doesn't really affect much. Obviously, if I blow the Pithing Needle, I kill my Aether Vials. If I blow it at 0, that gets rid of his Germ token, but he can recast his Germ. We're just in a very, very, very bad spot. If he has no other creature, I could potentially kill Jace. But again, he's got the active Batterskull. I have nothing. And the Caracas Click combo is pretty vicious. He can do it to himself. He can do it to me. Both work. And if he activates it, I'm going to go ahead and Ghost Quarter it. Actually, I'll probably do it right now. Let me actually have him put stuff back, and then we'll do it.
Yeah. Once again, this is kind of horrible. Let's put both Flooded Strands back because, there's not a lot we can do with that. Now we have Spell Snare and Swords to Plowshares ready to go. So I think what we do is maybe just Swords the Sarah Avenger right now. He gains 3 life.
I'll go ahead and put that on the stack.
Yeah, that kind of sucks. But we're going to go ahead and return Vendilion Click to our hand. It's much more valuable, I think, to just continue to get the information that we need. And I don't even know if I have a basic land left.
Well, you'll only be looking at your top 4 because
oh yeah,
my Mind Sense are still in play.
Bummer. So yeah, we don't have anything.
It's a strip mine.
Yeah,
yes.
That was straight up good play.
Worth it.
And let's see. I think we just go ahead and attack.
Yeah, I'll let this go on for another turn or two, but I feel like I'm pretty much toast. There's very little I can do whenever he has mana up in his Batterskull.
Now the question is, do I want to block? Because this Jace is extremely valuable right now because I know what the top 2 cards in my deck are, and I do not want those cards at all. And then I can equip the Batterskull to the Vendilion Click. Yeah, this is a tough one.
We're going to go ahead and put a charge counter on Ratchet Bomb. Maybe we have to end up blowing it on a Jace, which is weird. But I think that's where we need to head. Okay. Okay, so go ahead, Cameron.
Yeah, so we'll go ahead and flash in Vendilion Click.
Now you get to see how dead I am. Check out that plains. It matches my other plains. That's pretty
It's
sweet.
true. And yeah, we'll just go ahead and keep that on top.
And yeah. So I think at this stage, what outs do I have? Don't think I have many. We'll go one more draw step to see what happens, but I think this is getting to be a futile exercise. I have a lot of life, but not a lot of chances. Not going to go in for the attack because I think that's a little bit of a waste. If he goes for the equip, obviously I'm going to Caracas the Click, but he doesn't have to do anything. He can just attack in with Batterskull, and I'm kind of forced to do nothing. I suppose what I could have done was have tried to Caracas the Click and then have him replay it, but again, that seems pretty terrible.
Whoops. I'm doing this always on my draw step. I apologize. Okay, so now we have a 7/5 lifelinker. I think we just start probably first and foremost. Let's J Storm again, just to get some more information. This is all really really good. I think we probably keep the force just like that and that. Now we have 2 brainstorms up. I'm totally good with this. Let's go ahead and attack.
All right, so I'm going to Caracas bounce his Medallion Click. This does mean I get a chance to kill Jace, which is cool. He's going to see what I draw. It's not great. I'm sure. I'm trying to think of what would actually be good here. Another swords. We do not want to use these abilities. Another Caracas. Well, so we're going to fire this up. Oh, he's got to click me first. And he'll see the Caracas and not do anything about it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Okay, so again, we're going to Caracas his V-click, which is coming in and out of play more times than I care to count. Fire up Mishra's Factory. And do that. So, hey, things are looking up.
So we'll wait for him to maybe play that Caracas. I don't know if he will or not, but probably not. Okay.
That's a misplay. I should totally play the Caracas.
Okay, Spell Snare is great. I think the correct play right now is we'll just brainstorm in. This is all very, very, very good. Let's I don't think I want Stoneforge right now, and let's just put this Spell Snare back. I think the proper play is to once I again
Okay.
and we'll hold on to these swords for the time being. But right now, we're looking really, really, really good.
And I mean, right away we have to just get this set up. We really need to draw a creature. Because the true name, while we have this one answer, we know he has multiples. So we know this game's been going on forever. So the chances of him getting into another are pretty good. And we need to pressure his life total. Okay, so let's go ahead and sacrifice this Ratchet Bomb.
Totally fine with that. Let's see. Let's go ahead and brainstorm. Wow, that is a lot of stone forges. We'll put those back, and I'm just going to spell snare a stone forge.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure that's game. I'm going to go ahead and scoop them up here because I know you're on a
Yeah.
time crunch. But this matchup feels terrible for my deck. Even when I feel like I'm ahead, I feel like I'm just scratching and clawing to do anything.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think. When this game turns grindy for me, like I feel like I'm at the advantage, right? So, yeah, that was totally to my favor. I mean, I had a lot of answers. Obviously, Jace is just, I was curious if I should even keep him in, but when you're not playing Wastelands and Rashad and Ports, I feel like my mana is relatively decent. Obviously, I was also drawing like land after land after land in this deck as well.
Even when you had a suboptimal draw, it was very hard for me to get ahead in any meaningful way.
Yeah.
So anyway, hey, there's our versus video. Good job, Cameron. You won it.
So
you got it.
This week I did. Maybe next month when we play Storm or Dredge or something like that, you'll just crush me, and we'll go with that.
That's the hope. All right, man. Thanks.
All right, thanks.